Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and with the patch 10.2.6 we got a brand new casual game mode called Plunderstorm, a limited time event that allows players to interact with World of Warcraft in an entirely different way, playing an entirely new game mode while earning a variety of unique rewards for both retail and classic World of Warcraft. It's a battle royale style event, meaning that there will be a mix of PvE and PvP content involved. The PvE side of things lets you clear creatures as well as elites and plunder treasures in order to gain additional powers, but the PvP is settled towards the end of the match, where the final player or the final team will always come out on top. A number of fans in the WoW community love this new mode of Plunderstorm and the variety of WoW gameplay that it offers, but aren't the biggest fans of WoW PvP specifically, since most players don't behave the same as creatures or monsters and have a little bit more predictability to them, and for some the PvP combat can just be intimidating since that's not something that they're used to. But this video is going to guide you how to farm up your renown for Plunderstorm efficiently, while for the most part avoiding all forms of PvP, which is actually quite easy to do. But right before we dive into this Plunderstorm PvE guide, most of you guys watching these kind of videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you want to get more regular content regarding Dragonflight 10.2.5 or any future updates for patches like 10.2.6 or the War Within Alpha. One of the very first recommendations I can make is to queue up for solo Plunderstorm if you're just looking to farm renown with PvE content. In duos, you're going to have teams of players teaming up to take down targets one at a time, where you have a lot more PvP happening at the very beginning as players try to get a stronger head start against one another. But in solos, majority of players will play more carefully at the very beginning. Some will end up engaging in combat, but majority will avoid it unless they have some sort of an obvious advantage in terms of levels or the amount of spells gained. This isn't a guarantee, as there are going to be some lobbies where players are going to start fighting each other immediately, but I found solos to be a little bit better if you want to farm quick renown while mostly avoiding PvP. Recently, WoW had published a map with some of the best spots to drop in for Plunderstorm, and they do a good job highlighting some of the more popular spots that other players drop into. However, it also gives you some of the areas you shouldn't go to, since that's where most of the PvP is going to occur in. However, for the most part, we want to try and avoid all kinds of PvP. So I'm going to list off a couple of the locations that worked for me. However, even with these locations, you can't just guarantee that there won't be any players whatsoever in any of these spots. One of the spots that I found to be quite successful in is the Cove, which is found towards the southwest of the map. It's going to be a nice little area with a bunch of syndicates for you to kill, but plenty out of the way, and most players don't actually know that it's in play when it comes to the map in Plunderstorm. Another spot that's technically a hotspot, but I don't see nearly as many players going for, is the Horde outpost of Hammerfall. Normally, this would be one of the better places since it's so dense with elites and enemies, but in my time playing Plunderstorm, I just haven't found nearly as many players going for Hammerfall as the very first option. Another spot that I couldn't recommend is the one with the 4 elementals, which is next to Hammerfall. Not as many players go there immediately, but most players will swing by there since the elites are fairly easy to take down, but if you go there immediately, not as many players seem to drop in that location. The last location is a bit of a hit or a miss. The Kobolds and the Boomkin towards the south is a fantastic spot to get an early head start. In some games I've seen nobody drop in the location, and others I see multiple players go into that spot immediately. So this one is really going to all depend on your lobby. When you initially land on a creature in Plunderstorm, you'll immediately kill it. This is why landing on an elite is very much recommended at the very beginning, just to get yourself a quick power spike. By slaying the elite, picking up some plunder, and then picking up its ability, it allows you to have a better early head start. The combat in Plunderstorm is very different than a normal World of Warcraft. In Plunderstorm, most enemies have some sort of a frontal attack that can easily be avoided instead of a basic auto attack. Other enemies will leave swirlies on the ground or will have some very telegraphed mechanics that helps you avoid some of the more dangerous areas. For the most part in Plunderstorm, staying on the move helps you avoid majority of threats and attacks, and watch out for enemy frontal abilities to make sure to limit the amount of damage your health bar takes. If you do however need to heal, be sure to be aware of your surroundings, as taking damage from any source while healing will have it be interrupted. Also, another note about your primary combat ability. It's actually got a bit of a range to it, and it cleaves in a small arc in front of the player character. This allows you to hit enemies that are right outside of a melee range, and can help cleave multiple targets at once, so you want to try to stack all of the creatures and elites together to cleave them down all at the same time. Once per game, you'll be able to get a quest reward called a Captain's Order. The quest for the Captain's Order is going to be different with every single new round, and it awards 250 plunder for completing the quest. The quest can either be to collect 30 plunder, slay 2 elites, slay 10 random creatures, open 2 chests, collect 3 spells, or collect 2 items. And with every new match of Plunderstorm, you want to focus on completing this quest as soon as possible, as early in the game as you can. Once a day, players are also rewarded with a daily doubloons reward, which grants you 800 plunder for completing the Captain's Order event, which helps you drastically boost the amount of renown you can gain from this event. In Plunderstorm, you'll find that there are 3 types of chests that you can find across the map. Some of them are going to be magical chests, which will award your character with spells and abilities. Supply chests will award you with items, and golden chests will award you with plunder. For the most part, you should try to focus your attention on getting as many golden chests as possible if you're trying to primarily farm renown in Plunderstorm. As for spells and abilities, when it comes to PvE farming efficiency, don't worry too much about getting the right abilities early on. Just grab whatever's available and start farming as much as you can. And you should only really replace abilities once you see something that you like or something that's more efficient. Some of the better PvE offensive abilities are going to be the Earthbreaker and the Star Bomb, which all do a fantastic amount of AoE damage, and are great for grouping high density enemies together and wiping them out in a single global. Some of the best PvE farming utility spells are going to be the Fey Form and Fade to Shadow, primarily because it grants you additional mobility and are great tools when it comes to escaping other players or for covering ground quickly when traversing across the entire map. So this is the strategy that I've employed when it comes to farming some of the renown when it comes to Plunderstorm. At the very beginning of the match, you want to land on an elite. Collect as many spells and abilities and plunder as you can, and try to finish out your quest and clear out the entire zone that you land into. Focus primarily on PvE mobs and avoid other players even if they're in a local area. If you can scale up your levels ahead of them, then for the most part they will try to avoid you, since now you have a level advantage. And once you finish out your camp, you can do one of 2 things. You can either run into the storm, die really quickly, reset, and go back into the next match, which allows for fast and easy speed farming strategies. None of the matches really take all that long, and if you just can churn through as many of them as possible, you can collect a lot of plunder very quickly. On the other hand, constant resets can get a bit grating, so instead what you could do is try to live for as long as possible, stay around the edges of the map, farm as many mobs as you can, and collect as much plunder as possible. And as soon as you see another player, if you decide that's not what you want to do, you don't want to PvP, you can either let them slay you very quickly or run into the storm afterwards. The strategy is going to be a little bit slower, but matches are going to last a little bit longer and does allow you to actually play around with your abilities and have some fun before you eventually go down and then queue up for the next match to get additional plunder. And for now, that's going to be my full guide on how to get the most out of the Plunderstorm event and how to farm it for all of its riches and all of its mounts and cosmetics while primarily focusing on avoiding PvP combat. PvP in WoW is not for everybody, and I totally get that. And a lot of players want to be able to get all of the different cosmetics and rewards, especially since the event is limited time. But don't worry too much about trying to get it done as soon as possible, since the event is going to last for multiple weeks until the launch of Season 4. And there's a good chance that Blizzard might even extend it for a little bit further, just to make sure all players can get all of the rewards during such a limited window. But otherwise, I want to thank all of you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.